Shalom, blessings to all of you saints, blessings and shalom to you all. What a wonderful day it is. Thank you very much for waiting. There's so many things that are happening at one time in my life right now, that some days will be like this. And I'm so grateful that you are here. Welcome, welcome and shalom to you. Shalom, of course, reminds us of the confidence we ought to have in Yahweh our Father, that it is always well. It doesn't matter what we face, it is well. Yahweh is good. His mercies endure forever. Shalom gives us that confidence, and I'm so happy that my son Pastor Reginald has spoken to that, to the shalom and the conditions under which you were able to receive that shalom from Yahweh. And we must be aware that shalom gives us confidence that it is always well. Always. I bid you all shalom. As you join the broadcast, can you see and can you hear me clearly? I'd be happy to have that feedback from you. We're in Revelation chapter 1. Shalom, 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 and blessings to all of you. Thank you, Pastor Mel and others, for the all clear. Great. While you're here, please be kind enough to invite someone who knows normally here with us. Share it with them. Let them know that we are here today at this time. Of course, an hour later than we should have started, but we're here nonetheless. And it would be good for you to share this broadcast with them, or invite them, tag them, whatever you do, so that other saints would be aware of our presence and our time of interaction. I know that some did not receive notification of the hour that I intended to begin today, so let us wait for them. Just bear with me for a moment. Give them an opportunity to gather, to be here with us, so that we can engage in our conversation today. Great is Yahweh, and Yahweh is greatly to be praised. He is worthy of all glory, all honor, and praise, and we ought not to say that lightly. There is no scripture that records the words "great is the Lord." None, for he has a name. Great, said David, is Yahweh, and he is greatly to be praised. He is. He has a name. And when you come to have a revelation of his name, then you ought to understand the value of praising him, who is greatly to be praised. Revelation chapter 1. The revelation of Yeshua. So Yahweh gave Yeshua a revelation which was to be given to Yochanan. Yahweh gave Yeshua HaMashiach a revelation which was to be given to Yochanan. Shalom, shalom, and blessings. And that revelation that was given to Yochanan was to be shared with the others. We are in chapter 1, verse number 9. The revelation of Yeshua to Yochanan. Chapter 1 from verse 9. Thank you, Pastor Mel. Okay, now, it reads, I, Yochanan, he's reporting about himself. I'm a brother of yours, and a fellow sharer in the suffering, kingship, and perseverance that come from being united with Yeshua. So Yochanan is declaring himself to be a brother of those to whom he was writing. Shalom, shalom, and blessings to you all who are joining us. What I would like to share with you, saints, at the outset is this. Yochanan although he would have received the most potent revelations you can think about, did not deem himself to be superior to his brothers. He did not promote himself. He did not say that he had a trip to heaven and he had a revelation, and now the Lord told him that he's in charge or to start a church somewhere. Charles T. Russell from the Jehovah's Witness, he said he had a vision, a revelation of something, and he started Jehovah's Witness. The Millerites said they had a vision as to when the world would end and everything else. It didn't happen. When Jesus would have returned, according to them, it didn't happen. And so Ellen G. White popped over now. She got visions. John Smith from the Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as they call themselves, had a revelation. He's in charge. Get the picture yet? Yochanan, who saw Yeshua HaMashiach in a manner that we'll discuss shortly, did not say that he is now in charge. He spoke to his brothers because the instruction that he received was to speak to his brothers. May I inform the church that Yeshua HaMashiach determines your position in the body. Revelation doesn't determine it. Your private experiences that you claim to have do not determine your position in the body of Messiah. Ephesians 4 records that the same one who ascended first descended, and when he ascended he gave gifts to men, anthropos, to man. What gift did he give? Some to be apostles. Good to see a pastor. Some persons, yes, the broadcast was a bit distorted. Is it better now, Shahid? Shalom, Apostle T. Shalom and blessings. Is it good now? Tell me if it's fine. It's better? Okay. So I repeat. Revelation, as some people will claim that they have a revelation, they saw this and they saw that. That does not determine your authority in the church. Authority in the church is given by the Messiah. For the same one who descended or ascended first descended, and he gave gifts to men, some to be apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers. He did not say that if you have some personal revelation and vision, then you are authorized to be anything called a leader in the church. We are in the year where we're speaking to the church, seeing the saints of Yahweh, seeing the reality of the priesthood, the reality of the priesthood, meaning spiritual authority in the church. That is to be determined by Yahweh through Yeshua HaMashiach. Shaul the apostle wrote that when it pleased, Galatians 1, when it pleased Yahweh, who had set me apart from my mother's womb, when it pleased him, then he called me to be an apostle. That's what it said. Not when I decided to be one, not when I had a desire, not when I was in prayer and I felt something shake in my spirit, none of that. Debbie, Devra, good to see you, and Shalom Dehart. And it's good to spell you and write your name in the Hebrew as you said. I love it. Alright, the broadcast has been started, so I switched to my mobile data. Let's see how that works. He said, I am a brother of yours. Tell me if it's good, please, because I had to switch over from E-Networks, the modem. the Wi-Fi to my mobile data. He said that I am a brother of yours and a fellow sharer in the suffering, kingship, and perseverance that come from being united with the Messiah. When you are one with Yeshua HaMashiach, you suffer, you rule, and you go through, which means you persevere, you press on, you suffer, you rule, and you press on. There's nothing in being united with Yeshua HaMashiach that speaks to quitting. Somebody said they can't hear me, maybe I have to leave and return. Exit and return. There is nothing in being one with Yeshua HaMashiach that includes quitting. I shall repeat that. There is nothing in being one with Yeshua HaMashiach that includes quitting. Saints do not quit. There is no saint who is one with the Messiah who becomes so discouraged, quote unquote, that they leave the church and stop being a saint. Nonsense. You were never a saint. There is nothing about being a saint that includes quitting. Saints do not quit. I'm not talking about your job, I'm speaking to your faith. Oh, you're all in the TV outside, monitoring. The monitor's outside of the room. It's about to get loud. When you are a saint and you are one with the Messiah, you cannot, not you should not, you cannot quit. Why? Because the same Spirit who said, or caused him to say, Father, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. That same Spirit dwells in you. So if he did not quit at the execution stake, how are you quitting at somebody saying something bad about you as a saint? How are you quitting at Apostle rebuked me too harsh and Apostle was too harsh on Facebook? How are you quitting because you got a Facebook rebuke? Get out of my face. The same one who went all the way to the execution stake, which you are called the cross, never quit. The same Spirit that's in him is in us. So how do we quit in reference to our faith? How do we quit because you never expected your son to die or your daughter to die? You never expected that he would cause your husband to leave you. You never expected that he would cause your children to become so disrespectful and rebellious and crazy that you swear to heaven that God's supposed to answer, because now you're not Yahweh anymore. You never expected you'd be in such a financial bind that you thought that prayer could have got you out of. I never knew you could pray your way out of financial crisis. But some of you feel you could pray your way out of financial crisis, and you feel now that because you didn't receive the answer that you thought, which would be somebody coming to give you some money. Because I'm amazed. I am entirely amazed at how some saints function, where you believe that you could pray your way out of financial difficulties, as you put it, and that somebody's supposed to always text or call you to tell you they're sending you some money or giving you money. You need to stop that. And stop it now. Most, if not all, of your financial troubles are solved by discipline and sensible investment, not gifts. Gifts do not solve financial issues. Stop. Look at the heathens. Pay attention to the wicked. When they have, even the big businessmen, when they have financial crises, they will normally go to their business partners or people who they know in the industry, in the circle, and say, listen, if you are to lend me, did you all hear that? Not if you could give me. That's a heathen. And he will say, if you can loan me this money. I will, listen to it, start up something, divest somewhere, diversify in some way, and I will give you back with interest that which you've loaned me. That's a heathen speaking in a manner. And those of you who have Yahweh's Spirit, just sit back and wait, because you have a financial crisis. You can pray and heaven will cause somebody to give you money. So why are you still in the position you are? Gifts do not solve financial issues. They bring relief, not solutions. And the relief is short term anyway. Stop giving money to people who are indisciplined in dealing with money. This is a direct apostolic instruction to you. Stop giving money. Give them food, let them eat it. But do not ever give your money to people, saint or sinner, who are indisciplined when it comes to financial management and dealings. Don't do it. That goes across the board. Yochanan was selected to receive revelation. And he said, or I said to you again, he noted himself as being, or described himself as being, a fellow sharer in the suffering, the kingship, and perseverance that come from being united with Yeshua. If you are united with Yeshua, you cannot quit as a saint. It is impossible. If you are united with Yeshua, you are built with endurance. You are built to endure all things, listen to me, that anyone on earth can put you through. I need to repeat that for somebody. If you are united with the Messiah Yeshua, you are built with everything that anyone on earth, you can endure anything that anybody on this earth could put you through. Anything, including what the anti-Messiah can put you through. Saints are not equipped with the ability to quit. I'm speaking to your faith. Your trust in Yahweh. It is everlasting. To everyone he gave the measure of faith, not the measure of quitting. He gave the measure to trust him until you leave this earth. Or until Messiah returns. He never give you partial faith. He gave you everything that you need. They could say what they want, they could slander, they could lie, they could libel, they could do what they want, they could talk all that you see them talking about me. It doesn't matter to me, because I've been equipped with the ability to endure everything that any human being can put me through in this earth. And you could still not make me quit. Half of y'all will be dead, and I'll still be standing here and not quit. You cannot make me quit. I am not equipped with the ability to say I quit, I give up, I'm no longer saved, I'm done with this issue thing. Never. His spirit is without measure. He doesn't hold it back. So the extent to which he pours himself into you is the extent that keeps you going through anything in this earth. Anything and everything in this life. With the same hope as when you're going through nothing. I tell you, when I do not hear things about me on the street, I get concerned. When I don't hear people saying ill things about me, I get very nervous. Because I remember what Messiah said, woe unto you, good boy preacher, when everyone speaks nicely about you. That's what he said for. He said for that's exactly what they said about the false prophets. Oh, but London is false and I have so much hatred in London. I love it. Oh, but I love the fact that Messiah said, woe unto you, pretty boy, when everybody speaks nicely about you. Zion, quitting a job is not quitting your faith. And I mentioned that earlier. Quitting a job has nothing to do with your faith. Nothing to do with that. Jobs are just for basic human employment and economic gain. I'm speaking here to your faith. Messiah Yeshua said that they spoke nicely of all of the false prophets. So who's really false in Linden and Guyana? Me, who you all hate so much, or you who people like so much? Which one of us is false? We need to pay attention to that for a second, shouldn't we? Messiah said that they spoke nicely of all of the false prophets. How did they speak about you? And he's speaking into the religious people. Let's proceed. He said in verse 9, I had been exiled to the island called Patmos for having proclaimed the message of Yahweh and borne witness to Yeshua. Look at what he was exiled for proclaiming the message of Yahweh. Not of whatever you want to call him. Not of Jehovah, because that word did not exist when Yochanan was living. He didn't preach the message that it doesn't matter what name you call him, he knows who you're talking to. He didn't preach that message. That is called the adulterated message, where it's mixed up with all kind of human wicked reasoning. He didn't preach the doctrines of demons. He preached the message of Yahweh, nothing else. And he was a witness to Yeshua. He saw with his eyes exactly what happened. He witnessed the working of Messiah. And for that, they took him and put him on the island called Patmos. Exiled, meaning put away from everybody else. You're not free to come back into your own place. Look at Yochanan's experience. And he said in verse 10, I came to be in the Spirit on the day of the Lord. Not Sabbath. Not Shabbat. And that doesn't matter to me. But it's interesting that Yahweh did not choose to give Yochanan the revelation that exceeds all others. He didn't choose to give him that revelation on a Saturday. Adventists. And I wonder why, since it means so much to y'all. He was in the Spirit on the day of the Lord, which is the day Messiah would have been risen. That was historical. That was critical to the church's existence. The day of Messiah. He was in the Spirit on that day. And y'all church people say nobody knows the day. So how could he be in the Spirit on that day if nobody knew it? Y'all could keep record. You do devils. You in the Jesus crew who are so wicked. You could keep a record of when you met your man, when you got your first period. You keep a record of when your boyfriend kissed you first, when you first had sex. You keep a record, but you can't keep record. They couldn't keep a record of when the Messiah rose or when he was crucified. Really? So only y'all could keep record. You keep record of when you, like Neil Ellis, you could keep record of when you started preaching, and that's an anniversary. That's a special event where he gets money because he's celebrating his preaching anniversary. You could keep record of when you became a pastor of the church. You don't forget that date. You can keep record of when you launched the church. You don't forget that date either. You keep a record of when your wife became a co-pastor. You don't forget that because she has to get money for that too. But you, devils, cannot keep a record telling me that Yochanan and the others couldn't keep record of when Messiah died. Huh? And when Messiah rose. Y'all are especially wicked people. You're not ordinarily wicked. Y'all, the heathens on the road are far more godly than half of y'all. Because you in the Jesus church, your leaders are a special category of wicked people. And that's why you have to hate me, because they tell you exactly what you are. You hate hearing exactly what you are. You are not ordinarily wicked. Yochanan knew what the Lord's day was. That's why he wrote about it. He said, I came to be in the spirit. Look at when he got the revelation. Not in the flesh. He got the revelation when he was in the spirit. On an island. As a prisoner. Rejected from society. Who am I talking to? On an island. As a prisoner. Rejected by men. Chased out because the church couldn't accept him in terms of the religious group. The chief priests and them and the Romans, get away from here. Put him out. And being the one who was rejected, or one of those, he came to be in the spirit. On the Lord's day. Who am I talking to? Oh, whose family hates them so much that they can't wait to talk ill things about you and say that they don't know who you think you are, and they don't know how you became like this and who, my Lord, whose family and friends hate your guts so much, whose colleagues at work hate you so much that you feel as if you're isolated on an island though you are in an office. This is for you. He came to be in the spirit when he was an outcast. There's something special about being alone and despised. That's why I love it. Now you're going to hear even more why I love being the way I am. I love it. There's nothing that brings me more joy than walking around my town or my country and seeing the Jesus people who hate the preachers, not y'all. Most of the followers don't hate me. The preachers in Guyana hate my guts. I promise y'all that. Some in the Bahamas hate my guts. In the Caribbean, in the USA, I love it. Even in your political groups, A, PNC, PPP, you all hate my guts, some of you. Not all of you. Because you hate the truth. Talk all you want to talk. You're still wicked. He said, I came to be in the spirit. And I heard behind me, listen to this, a loud voice, like a trumpet, saying, write down what you see on a scroll. This is the direct instruction. Write down what you see on a scroll and send it to the 7 messianic communities: Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea. This is a clear instruction. Oh, but Yeshua couldn't be clear enough when he told you all, you must eat my flesh and drink of my blood. And as often as you do that, you do it in remembrance of me. Y'all say you choose to commemorate his death at Good Friday. Did he tell you that? You're wicked people. Because I thought that the Messiah knew exactly what he wanted to say and he would say it. He told Yochanan, write this. Oh, he wasn't born on December 25th, but yet you choose to commemorate his birth at December 25th, when you all wicked devils would sing, long time ago in Bethlehem, so the Holy Bible say, Mary's born child, Jesus Christ, was born on Christmas Day. You're wicked, because you told me you know that he wasn't born on Christmas Day, but yet you sing it in the church. You are wicked. Hate me all you want. You're still wicked. He said, write it. Write it on a scroll. Even where he wrote it was specific. To whom it shall go was specific. 7 churches: Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, Laodicea. No more. He didn't say you could choose who you want to send it to. He did not say, well, it's 7, but if you feel led, you could do 8. The names of the cities to which this had to go would have been given to him. And the names that were given to him were very specific. Okay, let's go further. Verse 12 said, I turned around. Reads, I turned around. Listen to Yochanan here. I turned around. I turned around. Hallelujah. Yochanan said, I turned around to see who was speaking to me. Stay put, church. And when I had turned, I saw 7 gold menorahs, but you call candlesticks. 7 gold menorahs. When he turned around, he heard a voice. When he turned around, he saw 7 gold menorahs. And among the menorahs was someone like a son of man. We're speaking here today to Yeshua Revealed. Yeshua Revealed. That's what we're talking to here. Let's speak about Yeshua Revealed. Among the menorahs, not away from the menorahs, right in the midst of the 7 menorahs was somebody like a son of man. He wasn't outside of it. Important to note. Wearing a robe down to his feet and a gold band around his chest. Verse 14 is what black people, as they call themselves, like to use to say that Jesus is black. Jesus is nothing, neither black or white. He's a figment of the white man's imagination to cripple the African and the Hebrew people. Period. He's a figment that was inserted into the African existence to cause the Hebrew people to be distracted. Jesus is an instrument used to cripple the confidence of the Hebrew, not African. Those from Akabulan, they would cripple you into believing that your source of identity spiritually is not what you are. This is not about racism. This is about reality. The reality is that the Roman Catholic has never, since they understood if you could capture Africans or Hebrew people, and you could sell those from Akibulam, you could sell them from this one nation, from this continent, you could sell them and make money from them and have them work for nothing. They said, we'll present to them a savior who is white. That was done on purpose. Yeshua Revealed is what we're speaking about. Yeshua was never revealed in the USA. He was never revealed in Ireland. He was not revealed in Russia. He was not revealed in China. He was not revealed even in Canada or India. But the Caucasian decided, those at the top of the church, that they're going to take an image of a person and foist him, put him onto the Indians, the Asians in general, the Chinese, all y'all. Put this man and say, this is the savior. And then you had to evangelize a white Jesus. And that's the savior. And the Africans decided, as they became Africans after given the history of the continent, it was actually called Ethiopia, the whole place. But after it was called Africa, they decided, you know what? We want to argue, some of them, that Jesus is black. You're lost, because Jesus is nothing. Jesus is neither black or white. Jesus is absolutely nothing in reference to a person. And some of you all trembling in the house and saying, oh my God, can you hear this man talking about Jesus? Yes, because you cannot source one person named Jesus 700 years ago. You can't find a name called Jesus that existed 700 years ago. So how can you have an existence without a name? Your faith in Yahweh has to come to that, has to mature to that place where the most dominant lie does not intimidate you. I repeat that. Your faith in Yahweh must mature to a place whereby the most dominant lie, which is Jesus, does not intimidate you. If you're not there and you're still getting nervous when I say to speak, if I speak, you are in trouble. The Antichrist used the slave masters and these oppressors and the Catholic Church and others to cause such mayhem in the minds of those who they know are dominant, naturally speaking. Check your history. Check whenever, even Ethiopia. The only territory they say in Africa that has never been colonized is Ethiopia. You know why? Because they tried it. And when they tried it, they were defeated consistently by those who said, we are not going to allow you to dominate us. This is a historical fact. Yeshua is being revealed all the time. I'm talking to y'all. All the time I'm speaking to you here, you're getting to see the culture, the history, and the truth of who your Messiah really is. He said now, verse 14 of chapter 1 is where the Jesus people decided Jesus is black. His head and hair were as white as snow white wool. His head and hair were as white as snow white wool. And they said his hair was as wool, which means he had curly hair. Okay, let's go on. His eyes were like a fiery flame. And then they said nobody else could have eyes like a fire. You see me tell me white people's eyes can't be red? The only people whose eyes can be red are black people. That's what you're telling me? Is that how stupid you have to go to try to get your Jesus to be black? His eyes were like. Now here the first problem we have. Yochanan said he saw this person before he turned around. Y'all can't miss this. He turned around. He turned around when he heard the voice like thunder. And the first thing that he saw were 7 menorahs. You all with me? Okay. The first thing he noticed was not a person. He noticed a symbol. And the symbol that he saw was 7 menorahs, which are candlesticks, they call it in our language, in our time, they're menorahs. But in our culture, we call them candlesticks or lampstands. He saw 7 lampstands. We'll jump down to verse 20 and then go back up for a reason. Go down to Revelation of Yeshua chapter 1, verse 20, and we go back up to where we were for a reason, to show you something. They said, well, he saw his hair was like wool, so that means a black man. Okay, let me show you. The first thing Yochanan saw was a symbol. Here is the secret meaning of the 7 stars you saw in my right hand. Look at this. And of the 7 gold menorahs. The 7 stars are the angels or the messengers of the 7 messianic communities, the churches. And the 7 menorahs are the 7 churches or the 7 messianic communities. It is here. So why didn't Yochanan see 7 churches? The first thing he saw would have been a symbol, because the menorahs meant or symbolizes churches. But when the person was between the menorahs now, among these menorahs, began to be shown to Yochanan, he saw the person whose head was white, not just his hair. And his hair were white, snow white. His eyes were like a flaming fire. Is that a literal being he saw? Well, let's go deeper then. Verse 15, his feet were like burnished brass, refined in a furnace. His voice like the sound of rushing waters. In his right hand he held 7 stars. Out of his mouth went, we go back to this, Out of his mouth went a sharp double-edged sword. And his face was like the sun shining in full strength. That's how black people look. Okay. Look at verse 17. When I saw him, I fell down at his feet like a dead man. He placed his right hand upon me and said, don't be afraid. I am the first and the last, the living one. I was dead, but look, I am alive and forever and ever. Come, church. Here's my question, not a stupid question, but answer it for my sake, please. When Yochanan walked the earth, he said he was imprisoned. He was put on an island as in exile, because of his witness to Yeshua. Not what he heard. Now, here's my question to you all. If he witnessed Yeshua, walked with Yeshua, did he know what Yeshua looked like? Somebody answer me. And that's not a stupid question. Did Yochanan know what Yeshua looked like when he was on the earth with them? Good. Pastor Mel, you won the prize, you answered first. If Yochanan walked with Yeshua for 3+ years, you mean to tell me that he didn't hear at this point say, I saw Yeshua? Did he say that? He began to describe what he saw. And what he saw, he didn't even know who it was. Come on, church. When he began to describe in writing, that's why Messiah told him, write what you see. When he began to write what he saw, he didn't even know who he was seeing. So how you get to tell me that Jesus is black? Because his face was white. And so was his hair. As white like snow white wool. His eyes were like fire. His feet were like brass. Okay, all that you say. His face was like the sun. Now how did Yochanan tell me that I saw Yeshua? He couldn't tell me that. So if my child were to come to me and say, I saw a man wearing spectacles. He had beard. He was wearing 2 gold chains. He had a ring in his hand. His eyes were this way. His ears were... You mean tell me my daughter cannot say, I saw my father? Okay. TV, all TV volume down. I tell you I'm going to get loud in a minute. Can you tell me, please, how is it so difficult, or was it so difficult, for Yochanan to say that he saw Yeshua standing among the menorahs, the candlesticks, the lampstands? What made it so hard? Because he never saw Yeshua, the person he knew in the earth. If he did, it would not have been a revelation. When Yeshua rose from the dead and was walking among them, he went and talked to them. Remember that? He sat and ate with them. He said, let's go eat. He revealed himself to Thomas, who said, show us the Father. Remember that? Okay, good. When Miriam saw him, he said, don't touch me, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. Oh, so hold on here. When he rose, he was among them, and they knew who he was. Now Yochanan is taken in the spirit, and he doesn't know who Yeshua is. It's called a revelation for a reason, because he had to see Messiah revealed in a manner he has never seen before. Yahweh did Yochanan know Yeshua's ethnicity when he was in the earth? They were all Hebrew people. So Yochanan didn't have to take a special note to write Yeshua's ethnicity, because they were all Hebrew, and no Caucasian was Hebrew. That's a fact. Yochanan did not see ethnicity. He saw divinity. What he saw was not humanity. Can you imagine that the person who he took on the mount, remember that, of transfiguration is called, and he was transfigured before him on that mount, before Yochanan, Yaakov, and Kepha. Yeshua was speaking to Moshe and Eliyahu, remember that? And he's speaking with them, and he became as white as ever, the radiance. Yochanan had that experience. And when he came now here on the day of the Lord, and he came in the Spirit, he got now a revelation, and he didn't even know who he saw. But yet you all want to reduce this to some stupid ethnic argument that Jesus had to be a black man. Jesus is nothing. Yeshua HaMashiach was not Caucasian, period. Neither was he Chinese. And I have no qualms in dealing with this in the most frontal manner. There's nothing for me to argue about. His hair was like, well, that didn't make him Caucasian, or make him African, or make him Hebrew. He was Hebrew because he was Hebrew. And in this day, there was never a Caucasian Hebrew in existence. At this time, they were barbarians. They were slaughtering each other, if you don't know history. The barbarians, the Vikings, and those were slaughtering each other at this time right here. The history of the world shows the Caucasians to be the most barbaric people ever. That's what they were doing in Europe. They were not in Ethiopia. They were not in Israel. And that's just a fact. So I don't have to spend my time arguing that he was like wool to make him Hebrew. He was Hebrew. But how was he revealed? It speaks to, in Scripture, a description of a being that was so glorious that Yochanan could not even know who this person was. Next, did Yeshua HaMashiach not say that my sheep know my voice? Didn't he say that to the same people? Because Yochanan wrote that. My sheep know my voice, and a stranger they will not follow. But Yochanan heard a voice and couldn't know whose voice it was. So if this was just an ethnic engagement he had, or an ethnic encounter where he saw somebody whose hair was like, well, then obviously, okay, then his hair was curly, so that's Yeshua. Yeah, Yeshua is a black man. No. Because even the voice he didn't know. I'm going somewhere with this with y'all. The glorified Messiah was unknown to Yochanan. Somebody needs to hear that. The glorified Messiah was unknown to Yochanan. Romans chapter 8. Let me speak to you about you. Romans chapter 8. Famous verse from verse number 28. Somebody type that, please. Romans 8 from verse 28. Furthermore, it reads, Romans 8:28 to 31. We know that Yahweh causes everything to work together for the good of those who love Him, who love Yahweh, and are called in accordance with His purpose. Isn't that text familiar to you? I'm glad that it is. So let's go on then. Because those whom He knew in advance, which is foreknowledge, He also determined in advance would be conformed to the pattern of His Son, so that He might be the firstborn among many brothers. Whom He knew in advance, He determined in advance. So you had a choice here, didn't you? Before you came into existence, He knew you in advance, and he determined in advance, before you got there, that you will be confirmed to being the Messiah. So please tell me here how your behavior now could injure who Yahweh said you're supposed to be. Since we're supposed to behave our way to salvation, and I'm not saying I'm promoting bad behavior of anybody, but I'm just saying what the church teaches y'all. Since we could behave our way in or behave our way out, where does foreknowledge and predetermination come in? A saint is chosen to be righteous. Oh my God, please type that for somebody. I don't mind what course you're on. A saint is chosen to be righteous. I don't care what course you're on in life. I'm telling you, if you are called to be a saint, it means you're called to be righteous, not wicked. Somebody please type big word. Righteousness is inevitable. Righteousness is inevitable for a saint. You can't avoid it. You cannot run around that. Righteousness is inevitable for the saint. You will be righteous. I don't care how much you try to do something else, you will wind up becoming righteous in reference to how you walk. You're not chosen to be wicked because you couldn't choose to be wicked. You were chosen in Yahweh or in Yeshua before the foundation of the world. And he said before you even walk this earth, he knew you. And he determined beforehand that you will be righteous. That's why I tell you, those who are close to me can know me well enough. You all see I don't sweat over people when they do certain things. You know why? Because I know that if you are chosen to be righteous, inevitably so you shall be. Which includes how you respond to rebuke. The one who was chosen to be righteous never ever practices contending with correction. You don't do it. That's why I know who you're chosen to be. Because when you're chosen to be righteous, you do not oppose correction. It's a sign. Let's read on. Verse 30 now, the big one, verse 30. And those whom he thus determined in advance, he also called. Watch this. And those whom he called, he also caused to be considered righteous. Caused to be considered righteous. And those whom he caused to be considered righteous. What this word here? He also glorified. Oh my Lord. Those whom he called to be righteous or considered to be righteous, he also glorified. Yochanan saw Yeshua and didn't know who he was seeing because Yeshua was glorified. Let me talk to some of y'all here this afternoon. The people who are called spiritual, remember that's what we are. We walk in the spirit. The people who are called spiritual went through a process. Before you were foreknown, before the world was even formed, then he determined beforehand that you'll be righteous. Then he called you. Then he said, you're now righteous, which means I have chosen you to be this way. And then when he said that about you, he glorified you. Why are you then wondering about why people don't know you anymore? And why are you wondering about the reason why people cannot understand you anymore? Because you are transformed. If Yeshua would have been revealed to somebody who walked with him all the time and he didn't know him, I'm here to announce to you that when you are walking in the Spirit, those in your own household will know who you are. And that's why they disrespect you so much, because they don't know who you are. That is why they take your words for granted, because they don't know who you are. That's why they say to you in no uncertain terms, you are a different person. I don't like this you. Good. That's why they have to have conferences about you, to discuss the new you, because they don't know who you are. They don't have a clue about who they're dealing with. Some of you even got married in the flesh. This is heavy right here. You got married in the flesh, and then you became transformed in the spirit. And now you're wondering why you and your spouse can never get along, and you'll have so many issues. I just told you, because you got married in the flesh, and then you became transformed in the spirit. And this person looks at you and tries to figure out, now, who is this? They don't know you. Watch this. They hear you speak, but don't know your voice. Can somebody please write that? They hear you speak, but do not know your voice. Yochanan had that experience. They hear you speak, but they do not know your voice. Because even your voice changes. Now I'm talking about naturally. Even your voice changes when you become saved. And that's what they can't take. The voice of righteousness that you now have grinds their gears. They hate it. They despise it. They cannot stand the voice of righteousness that you now possess, because they don't know it. As he is, so are we in this world. So if he would have been unknown to Yochanan, what do you think would happen to us in this world, to people who we know? If as he is, so are we in this world, and when Yochanan encountered him in that world, he couldn't figure out who he was, what do you think would be the experience of people around you now when you're spiritually transformed? Somebody please type this. The more spiritual you become, the less familiar you are to those who knew you. The more spiritual you become, the less familiar you are to people who knew you. The more spiritual, that's why some of you have begun to dampen your spiritual state, because you want to get back into being familiar with people. The more spiritual you become, the less familiar you are to people who knew you. They can't deal with you, because what you are now is not what they ever knew. Yeshua HaMashiach was talking to his disciple Yochanan, and Yochanan didn't know who was talking to him. He said, I fell as a dead man. Apostle Zechariah, good to see you, and shalom. He said, I fell as a dead person when I encountered the power of this being. When I saw what I saw, I fell as dead at his feet. Where do you think they will be? Or where do you think they are? Those who want to talk you down, despise you, dishonor you, say they don't know why you think you're so spiritual now. Where do you think they are in those moments? Where do you think they are? I would not be long with you today, because I'm very familiar with the potency of what I'm talking here to some of y'all, and I am led. There is an extent to which you shall grow spiritually that make you dangerous to people. Very, very dangerous. Somebody needs to type this, please. Please, Shalom, Lord, good to see you. Type this. My presence can be life-threatening. Type that. Some of them will never get it, and don't expect them to get it either. My presence can be life-threatening. That's as much as I will say to you all this afternoon. My presence can be life-threatening. I'll share an example with you. Acts of the Emissaries chapter 5. Hananiah and Sapphira came up claiming that they sold the land for whatever it was. And they stood before an emissary and before the church. And Kepha said to the husband, "Is this what you sold it for?" And he said, "Yes." Immediately he fell dead. And Kepha said, "How could you lie to the Holy Spirit? How could you lie to the Ruach HaKodesh?" He was dead. If he did not go to the apostle to speak, and before the other saints to speak, he would have been alive. I hope some of y'all get that. But the presence of the people who stood there threatened his well-being, his life. His wife came thereafter, unknowledgeable of what happened. And when she came, she was asked the same question by Kepha. "Did you sell the house for this much?" She said, "Yes." And Kepha said, how could you allow Hasatan to get into you to lie to Ruach HaKodesh? The same feet that carried your husband from here will carry you. She fell dead. If she did not, pay attention here, when she was not in the presence of the saints and Kepha, she was alive, was she not? When she was not in their presence, was she not alive? I hope you're getting the picture now. Yochanan said when he encountered this being, he fell as though he were a dead man. He became lifeless. As he is, so are we in this world. I want to announce to some of you, as you grow, some people whose funeral you attended, who were close to you, you the cause. Some people, I'm not talking to all y'all, some people, if you didn't speak to them, they may have been living today. Some folk are not in the earth right now because they spoke to you. Bless you, Mel. Some folk would have had a job if they hadn't spoken to you. Some would have been successful if they didn't encounter you. You are not someone to be taken for granted. Ooh. When they stood before Kepha, they were living right. Kepha, Lord. When they planned to lie, they weren't in Kepha's presence and they were living still. They weren't in presence of the saints either, they were living. But those saints who they came to were filled with the Spirit. That's what the book said. They were filled with Ruach HaKodesh. No, that's a dangerous thing. They were filled with Ruach HaKodesh. Once you hear that, don't play around. And that is why sometimes you may see Apostle Thomas, Apostle Zechariah, Apostle Bassoon, me, your other leaders, Pastor Reggie and others, elder, will walk away. Some of you all understand why sometimes we just stop speaking to you and just move on from that. As he is, so are we in this world. I need to close with this part. Sorry, let me close with this part right here. Verse number 16 reads, in his right hand he held 7 stars. He held the stars, which are the churches, the angels. In his hand he held the stars. Oh, would the saints get this. In his hand he held the stars. The stars are the messengers to the churches. Every leader of yours, you need to ask yourself the question, who is holding you? You Jesus people, you need to ask yourself, how could Yeshua be holding my pastor and he say his name is Jesus? How could Yeshua be holding you, apostle, and you say the Messiah's name is Jesus and you call him what you want, and we all have our own truths? How could Yeshua be holding you, bishop, and you telling us as a church that it doesn't matter what you call him, he knows who you're talking to? You are held in his hand. He is holding you. And you don't know who's holding you? Is that what you want to tell the church? To be held means you are controlled by. You have no power. I'm holding this case. It cannot do anything. But wherever I move it, it goes. Whatever I do to it, it cannot do anything because I'm holding it. Who's holding your church, as you all call it? Who? Who's holding your Jesus people? Because the anti-Messiah is parallel to Jesus, not just opposed to. He's on the same, in reference to when you look at two of them, you think it's the same thing as him. Who's holding your church? Because I don't know that truth could hold me and then tell me his name is Jesus. He is holding you in his hand, but you could tell him you choose to celebrate his birth, and it's not, he has nothing to do with Christmas. Huh? He's holding you all, but you say, since you say Jesus and Yeshua is the same, he's holding you, but you could tell him that you choose to commemorate his birth and commemorate his death when you choose like to do it in reference to what you confess to be pagan. Who's holding you? Who's holding you who once followed Apostle London, as you put it, but now Jesus is exciting to you? Who's holding you? Who has been holding you all along? Shalom Sandal. In his hand were the 7 stars, which are the angels of the church. He holds the messengers in his hand, meaning that whatever they say it under his control. You still mad at what I say to you? Are you still angry at how I speak? Okay, well, let's go further then. Out of his mouth, here's the trouble now, went a sharp, double-edged sword. What does that mean? What's a sharp, two-edged sword? Do you know what it is? Out of his mouth, not his hand. He's holding the preachers, the angels of the church, he's holding them in his hand. Is coming a sharp, two-edged sword. What do you think that sword is? Soft, nice, loving words? Can you all still hear me? What do you think the sword is? Because you all who say that I'm too harsh and, oh, he's arrogant, look at how he speaks to people. I want you to tell me what the sword is. Because a sword is not sharp with two edges for no reason. What do swords do? Can you all tell me, please? A sword is an instrument of war. Please inform me. I mean, I'm not as brilliant as some of you. So please inform me. He didn't have an AR-15 rifle, Dave. They didn't have them in those days. So what he had was one of the most lethal weapons in warfare. A two-sided sword that was sharpened. It could kill you either way. If it swings this way, you're dead. If it swings this way, you're still dead. And the tip is sharp. I want you all to tell me, what was he doing with the sword? Okay, thank you, Brother Clinton. If his mouth had words that were deadly, why are your words so soft and sweet? Why are you so attracted to Jesus people who speak the nice, sweet things? Huh? Do you know how dangerous it is for you to despise the words that mirror the nature of your messiahs? You think Yeshua has come back to speak some nice words to anybody? Huh? It doesn't mean that you have to go on the limb to be just obnoxious and ridiculous in terms of how you talk to people. But when it comes to matters of life and truth, I don't have a wife, I do not have a father, I do not have a brother, I don't have sisters. I have none. I have no relations or friends when it comes to truth. None. Sound is gone, Pastor Mel. All right. Is the sound back? Let me know, y'all. Good. When it applies to truth and Yahweh's word, I don't have a mother. I do not have a father. I don't have brother, sister, or friends. And I hope that on the same side, I would not have anybody around me who thinks that because I'm your friend or your brother or something, then, I really can't talk the truth or I cannot speak or stand for righteousness. No, we're not doing that. No, saints. No. Brother Ronald, shalom and blessings to you. We speak, especially the emissaries. When you see we speak, we don't speak for you to like us. We don't speak for the society to think that we're good people. We speak because it is demanded of us since we are in his hand. So if I am in his hand, you all hear me carefully here, and out of his mouth comes a sharp two-edged sword, what does it do to me before it does anything to you? I think some of y'all will understand today why I don't have time to play and be as nice as some of y'all think I should be in society and there's certain demeanors you should wear as a preacher. Now you'll understand, hopefully, why I am the way I am and why other emissaries are the way we are. If he has us in his hand, the angels, which are the messengers, the shiliach, the messengers of the church, he has in his hand. He got you in his hand. In reference to this revelation Yochanan had. He was standing among the church, the seven menorahs. Don't miss this. He was standing among the menorahs, but in his hand he had the angels. And if his words were like a sharp two-edged sword, and we are in his hand as the messengers of his, what do you think happens to us before it happens to you? That's why Shaul said, follow me. as I follow Messiah. So if the word cut you, it had to cut me first. I had to go through something first before I could say it to you. I have to endure certain things and certain degrees of rebuke before I could rebuke you. And since we are in his hand, we are closer to the soul than you are. So we get the brunt of it. We get it live and direct. So don't expect me to be talking to you as though I'm some little soft boy somewhere, because that's not what I hear when I'm in his hand. Whenever the Spirit of Yahweh gives me an instruction, those of you who've walked with me for years would know, I am extremely serious, deadly serious when it comes to that. I don't play with that. Because I know what I face. I know what I hear. And I know what is at stake if I am to consider how you feel beyond what I have heard. Yeshua Revealed. Meaning the cover came off. And when the cover came off, Yochanan felt as though he was a dead man. It was not about ethnicity, it's about power. It's divinity. I thank Yahweh for removing the veil from some of your faces, so that those whom you thought were close to you are now your enemies. It's amazing what Revelation does. I'm thankful that Yahweh has removed the veil, so that those who you felt were your confidants are now your adversaries. I'm thankful that Yahweh has removed the veil, so that you can see that the one you thought you were in love with beyond any instruction is now the one you cannot stand for 2 seconds, because you can no longer tolerate unrighteousness. I'm thankful that the veil has been removed, so that you can see that those whom you call family are really foes. I'm grateful that Yahweh has taken the veil off, so that you can see that your business partner was your biggest leech. He is faithful. I'm thankful that he's removed the veil, so you can see that those whom you wanted to invest your whole life into were criminals and you didn't even know it. If you didn't come to the truth and have a revelation, you would never know that somebody who you held and you all cried together when there was some significant disaster is now one of the most wicked people you know. Is he not faithful? Is he not faithful? And I'll say this just as a bonus, some of y'all get as mad as you want. I'm not speaking to everybody, but I'm thankful to Yahweh that he's revealed to you that your sweet mother-in-law in Jesus is a witch now that you're in Yeshua. I will repeat that one. I'm thankful that he's taken the veil off to show you that your sweet mother-in-law in Jesus is a witch now that you're in Yeshua. Is he not faithful? To you saints, I will always say thank you for the generosity, for the kindness, for the obedience to being as kind as you are to me and to my household. I remain grateful. Thank you for your gifts of support that help me to do the things I do. Thanks to those of you who listen to the voice of Yahweh to say that you ought to give to those who speak to you spiritual things. I am grateful, and I shall remain that way. My father has typed. Let me see what Daddy said. Continue to opening our understanding of the scripture, son. By the wisdom of Yahweh, we need the constant guidance of the emissaries to bring us to perfection. That's a powerful word. Thank you, Daddy. to bring us to perfection. Glory, hallelujah. It brings you to perfection, the counsel, the wisdom, the truth of the emissaries. Thanks to all of you. And may the grace of Yahweh continue to abound to all saints. You are not chosen to quit. Do not choose to quit, because you cannot quit if you have been predetermined to be righteous. No saint can quit in terms of being righteous. You can't. So don't try because you didn't choose to be. Hallelujah. An integral part of your being righteous also includes sometimes you're thinking that you're not and then walking out that you are. Do well. Love y'all. Blessings and shalom.